Hey guys, I want to do a quick video here for you. This is Mr. Cannon, and I want to do a video for your government, the lesson on the Enlightenment. A lot of people may be struggling with that lesson, so I want to do a quick video just to help you with it. Now, the Enlightenment is a period in history known as the Age of Reason, and there's going to be a lot of parts to the Enlightenment, but one part involves political philosophers. And these philosophers are going to have a great impact on our own founding fathers in America. And so the kind of government we end up setting up in America, a constitutional democratic republic, a lot of that is going to go back to these Enlightenment philosophers. And the picture you see there, that's a picture of John Locke. And so I just want to talk a little bit about what these philosophers, what kind of ideas they came up with that's going to have such an impact on our own founding here in the United States. Two of these philosophers were John Locke and Thomas Hobbes. Now, Thomas Hobbes is the guy on the left there. John Locke's on the right. You know, they had very different views about human nature. Hobbes was more pessimistic. He viewed people as generally bad, whereas Locke was more neutral about how people were. Not as interested that you know that as is the fact that you know that both of their views believed that government was necessary. So they believed that government was necessary because people needed order. And in Hobbes' view, forming the government would actually help citizens ensure their own interest. So if you have a situation where people, in Hobbes' view, people are bad, they're going to have to be governed because in his world, people are bad and they're going to do bad things, so they have to be governed. But if the people actually help form the government, they can help ensure that some of their own freedom and some of their own interest is actually held intact. So that's a big part of Hobbes' belief. Now, John Locke, he believed in two things that are very important for you to understand. He believed in the social contract and in natural rights. And so let's look at those in the next slide. Okay, Locke, who's going to have great influence on our own founding fathers, especially Thomas Jefferson, he believed in two things that were very important. The first is the social contract. Now, what the social contract was, it was an agreement between people and their government. The people, in other words, willingly give up power to have order and the rule of law. So in order to have order and safety, you have to willingly give up some of your power. The government's either going to take it or you're going to willingly give it up. So under John Locke's social contract, the people willingly give up power in order to have order. Now, his view of natural rights are that there are certain rights that do not come from the government, that they actually come from nature. They come from the creator, is what Jefferson ended up saying years later. But these natural rights should never and can never be taken away by the government. And the three that Locke came up with are life, liberty, and property. Now, Jefferson's going to use this phrase in our own Declaration of Independence. He's going to change property to pursuit of happiness. But these natural rights are something that the government can never take away. And if the government ever does abuse those rights, if they are ever taking away people's life, liberty, and their property, then Locke's view of the social contract was then that a government can be overthrown. The people can overthrow and institute a new government. And if you remember in our own history, that's exactly what happened. That's why Thomas Jefferson borrowed these lines in our own Declaration of Independence, because he was borrowing from the idea that we can overthrow a government that's abusive. And so the argument in the Declaration is that the British government was abusive, therefore we can form a new government. And that's exactly what we did in the United States. But these ideas came from the Enlightenment and came from these political philosophers. The two you need to be most familiar with are Hobbes and Locke, and you need to be familiar with this idea of the social contract and natural rights, and the idea of Hobbes that forming a government is actually beneficial to people because then they can ensure their own interests. If you have any questions about this, feel free to email me or you can message me and we can discuss this a little bit further.